G'day Bomber fans, and of course maybe some other AFL fans, you're welcome here too. So, I'm obviously getting a lot of draft content out of the way leading up to it. Today I thought I would highlight some potential bargain options. These are the players you will not hear talked about as much at all, but they are around, they are indeed alive. And now I understand that we are set to only use 3 selections, and the lowest is in the 30s before matched bids, but you never know what we could do when trading, so I have all these players picked to go after the 40 range late into the draft, or even the rookie draft for some. So let's just get into it. Let's have a look at one potential draft bargain for every position. Alrighty, so I may as well start with the reason I made this video. After my last draft upload, I got a lot of comments asking about potential draftee Luke Lloyd, who is pretty much known solely for kicking 19 goals in one game. To be fair, that doesn't impress me much considering his team won by almost 200 points. I'm fairly sure a bunch of players had days out against the side he faced, but there is a fair bit of, to like about this undersized key forward option, who is set to fall quite late into the draft. Some say in the 30s, I reckon it's more likely to be in the 40s, and if he does get to that stage, you could argue it's a steal. The upside is there. He has shown he has some real football capabilities. He did well to return from some injury problems this year and only really got better with time. He kicked around 20 goals from his 11 games in the Coach Talent League. Doesn't sound all that great, but his playstyle sees him push up the ground a lot. He is a link-up key forward, a bit like what you see with Harry Jones. He's a good judge and reader of the play, uses that to his advantage when roaming up the field, but even if he is inside 50, he's trustworthy. You can see him kicking a couple of goals to go along with his link-up play on a good day. I'm not sold on him yet. I think a lot of his value has risen rather favourably through poor opposition, but you could also argue that shows he takes the most of his opportunities he is given. The fact that he isn't really a true athletic goal-kicking forward like others in this draft, but can still kick almost 20 in a game, that's promising. In a draft with not too many key forward options, Lloyd, although undersized, could be one to at least think about. From a key forward to a key back, Wil Dawson is not a true natural key back, but has shown he can play there. He is more of a key positional swingman. He has played quite a bit of ruck as well, and that's something you can never really see that much on a list. A key defender that can move into the ruck, or a ruck that can move into defense. I guess it's harder to have them resting there because they are more reliant on the size of their opponent, but it shows he has versatility and athleticism to feature in multiple roles. Let's say a player goes down with an injury mid-game, he can fill another role. He is 2 meters tall, quite lean, but still very good in the air. Great leap on him, really athletic player, and he is mobile, good on ground level, can bend down without breaking his back. That's already more than what half our list can do. I reckon you see a little bit less from him defensively right now, at least one-on-one. He is far too lean and weak in his hips to challenge against big AFL forwards. He is what you would call a project player. It's not all there yet. You see glimpses that make him promising though. For a late pick, or more likely for us a rookie pick, it's worth a punt. He's also pretty handy on the ball, which I think is valuable. You look at players like Ben Mackay, who, let's be real, he is not a skillful player, but Dawson isn't bad. He's probably the best key defender outside of pick 40, I'd say. Onto a smaller defender, Nathan Philactides. If you're familiar with the draft, you would have heard his name earlier in the year a lot. He was a first round chance early until poor form saw him drop. This is a tricky one. I feel like he's the type of player to have an AFL level highlight reel. The guy is so quick and damaging off halfback at his best. He's a really incredible mover with great confidence in his own ability, but he has the potential to be a top-tier butcher as well. His ball use isn't one of the best traits. You often see him go on runs that end up nowhere. I feel like his judgment of the situation is poor. He needs a good leader behind him telling him when to go and when to slow it down. Otherwise, he runs himself and his team into trouble. He's not the smartest player. You often see him rushing into some poor disposal habits because of it. But these are things that can hopefully be taught. He isn't a player that can fit into a defensive system right now as of filming, but eventually you can see a good team utilizing the best of his skill set and nullifying the bad habits seeping through the cracks. Onto a small forward, Jack Callinan from Tasmania. This is a player that could be really unlucky to fall through to the rookie draft, but the fact is this is a draft full of players like him. There are small goal kickers everywhere you look, and it's meant that players like Callinan could well drop down the order and be a steal for a lucky team. Callinan is not one of these athletic, super quick smalls that utilize their athletic strengths to their advantage. In a lot of ways, Callinan is quite ordinary as an athlete, but he is a very crafty footballer. His goal sense is spectacular. His groundwork is really good too. He's quite small, under 180 centimeters. You won't see him used as a target, but he's a genuine goal kicker. He can play that Will Snelling role as well. He did that a bit for Tasmania. He pushes high up the field. It helps when you're just an intelligent footballer. He's not just an athlete. He can be used in more roles than one because of his footy IQ. And just in case we wanted another young ruck for the future, there is another Visentini on the way. Dante plays at Port. His brother is seeking a draft chance somewhere. I would say probably through the rookie draft. Vigo Visentini is a big body, well over 200 centimeters tall, going to be a heavy frame as well. You can tell by his build. This is a potential ruck bully, more of a Draper than a Brian. He's going to hurt some opposition rucks. He throws himself around. He's not very skilled, not as well versed in his ruck craft as others. You saw him get torn apart by some of the better rucks from this draft, but I don't mind the look of him, obviously because I have him in this video. He's also the type of ruck you can rely on in big moments, not goal after the siren moments, but late in games he will give his all and provide heart through stoppages. He is more of a stoppage ruck than a centre bounce ruck. He uses his strength to his advantage, can often be seen ripping the ball out and clearing himself, a bit like Oscar McInerney, I guess, in that regard. I wouldn't back him to be rested forward at this stage. He's still pretty raw and has a lot to work on skill-wise. I guess that's his main issue right now. We're a club wanting 2 rucks to play in one game, and he can't really impact the game outside of ruck contests, I think. There is so much he needs to do to reach his potential still, but players like that with issues and flaws are almost more promising because they have more room to get better. I like his physicality and mentality. Many of you guys want a gritty, borderline mean player. I feel like he fits the mold. He could be a rookie. And onto a midfielder, Clay Hall, West Aussie product. I really don't know where this guy will fall. He could be 30, could be rookie draft. I get the feeling he's going to split list managers' views. Some will really rate him, some won't, and there are reasons for that. We'll start with some of the negatives to end the video on a high. For starters, his ceiling is limited compared to other players. There are some big bodies who just dominate draft years and don't do as well against AFL players, and that's what happens with these ready-made kids. Being ready-made for AFL is all well and good, but it means you are built to dominate against smaller bodies through the draft years, and there aren't many small bodies in the AFL. I would also highlight his skills. He is not a player you can find kicking while sprinting. He only really nails targets if he's stationary. It's not a woeful part to his game, but if you're frustrated by Darcy Parish, you're probably going to dislike a lot of Hall's game. He has played as an outside midfielder, but whenever I have seen him, I wasn't really that impressed. I feel like when he plays outside, he is purely an accumulator and isn't really that damaging. But he is a strong young man. We need strong midfielders. We haven't really had any for a while. His inside game is really good. Great hands in and around stoppages. He has an elite tank on him. He won't need many rests in games. He's got good tackling pressure, which I like, and he's really consistent. Even his low days, we'll see him gather around 20 touches or produce some heat at contests. There is a lot to really like about Clay Hall as a potential player, but I also highlighted there are plenty of reasons to avoid him as well. That goes for every player in this video as well. These guys aren't draft stars. They are potential bargains for a reason. They have plenty of weaknesses, but some strength as well that could see list managers act. Hall isn't the most promising of the lot, but he fits the bill for what we are after in the midfield. But that is my first draft bargain video done. I say first because I could well do another one if this does all right. I love the draft, so if you want more videos like this, let me know. Always down to chuck out more draft related content, but that is that. Cheers for watching. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're new, and as always, go Bombers.